Hi guys, this is Kristen Noe Jukes, and today I wanted to do some sketchbook flips. So I've been working in these sketchbooks for a couple months, 6 months, I'm not quite sure exactly how long, but I haven't really shown them on camera in their totality. I have one that's like pretty much done. I have one that is halfway finished, and I've got one that's almost done. It's a more recent one, but it's gotten to the point where I don't know if I'm going to fill up the last few because it gets hard to draw when there's a few pages in the back. But I think I'm going to start with this one, the little one. So this is a book that is a Reader's Digest condensed book cover, and so I think people are aware of what Reader's Digest magazine is, possibly. It's like a little magazine that has articles and things, but back in the 40s through the 70s, I guess you would say-ish. I'm not quite sure on those dates, but, you know, whatever. They produced these really thick books that had all these different pattern covers, and my mom and I started buying the books and repurposed them into spiral notebooks for people. And so we actually have a few of these on yellowpaperhouse.com if you're interested in it. This one I made had a mixed media paper in it, so I could do art stuff. And I put a metal coil in this one, and it is kind of pretty fat. But we will go through. So, just covering my phone number there. This is like my front page. I did some collage work. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. I did some collage work. I have a little envelope. The date. This is when we were still living in Bel Air, Maryland. This is my doggo Pollo. So this is just some paint and some collage and different things. Some more collage, some watercolor. These are printables from James Luke Burke's Patreon that he did this past summer. I love his work, and he also has a YouTube, so if you want to go check that out, it's really cool. His name is James Luke Burke. Some washi tape, some little watercolory doodly things, some more collage. I had like a little envelope, and it actually fit perfectly on here. I was doing some little prompts, but mostly just playing around. I had these little watercolor and ink drawings that I had done that I just glued in, some tags, some stenciling, some more kind of like printable collages and things. I've been playing around with some vintage ephemera as well in these journals, and stamping on stickers and labels, and some more stamping or stenciling as well. Some more stenciling and painting, some watercolor. This is from when I did the video where I talked about drawing different people and how I hadn't drawn people in a long time, so I like just cut her out and put her in this journal. Some more stenciling. Oh, it's funny because in some journals what I do is I journal about how much money I have left on my student loans. So at this point, I think it was July 2018, so a couple months ago, I still had $23,000 left to pay off, which I was really excited about because that's actually very low compared to the $60,000 that I started with. And as you know, you pay interest on that, so you pay a lot more than you start. Some more different collaging. I think these are James Luke printables, some stickers, some Tim Holtz ephemera, some jelly printed papers that I did. This is a lot of stenciling, so a lot of stenciling and stamping and just paint with collage. I was just playing around. I was having a fun time this summer just playing around with mixed media and ephemera and things, because I do mostly just draw and paint, and so I really wanted to play around with more of an ephemera kind of style and more stenciling and things. I think I kind of got it out of my system a little bit, but I And I went back to kind of regular illustration work and art, more journaling. I really like this spread because I love the colors with the neon yellow and the turquoises. Some new case for making watercolors that I had gotten. I love this little bunny sticker. I can't remember where I got him from, but he's super cute. He's got a little watch. Some more. I used a lot of like texture paste on this page. And I had like a little card. I didn't write anything on this, but I put her in this little library pocket. I really liked this one too because I did some paint scraping with a credit card and then I drew on top with some Posca markers. This was again just a bunch of ephemera and a bunch of stenciling and some washi tape. Some flowers, and then these are all these pictures. So this past summer in our old neighborhood, it was really strange. People would plant like bulbs and things for, I guess, from potted plants they got, and then we'd have these very strange flowers popping up. So we had these tiger lily, I don't know if you can see them, tiger lily type flowers popping up. They were so tall, they were almost as tall as me. There's a sunflower and then some irises, I think, or amaryllis. I don't know what this was. But yeah, but I liked walking around the neighborhood and just seeing these random single flowers that people would paint. A Rumi quote, some jelly printing, some more face drawing that I did one day. This was kind of like an unfinished spread. From here on, these are kind of mostly unfinished, but this was kind of, I saw this color palette in a magazine and I cut it out, but then kind of made it into moon phases. And then some different things on my mind. Some more drawings. And then this is where I kind of got to the end and I was kind of playing around with some backgrounds and things. These were kind of Lindy's magical shakers that you kind of dilute with water and it looks so cool. But yeah, so that was kind of the end of this one. And I love the covers from these Reader's Digest books. They're just so fun. And then I have my Yellow Paper House junk journal. So let me zoom out a little bit. You can see my crazy table that is just so covered in everything. I can't keep it clean and I've just decided to deal with it. I was putting down white paper every time I did a video and it just got to be really wasteful with the paper and the poster board and things I would put down underneath. So I stopped. So I'm sorry my table is crazy messy. But this was a washi quilt that I had made and I'll link the video below on how I did this one. But it was the perfect size to fit on the front of my junk journal. Cover my phone number again. Yeah, this was just the beginning pages. There's me, there's a sticker from Yellow Paper House, which is my mom and my company, and there's my husband and my dog. This was a lot of just journaling and playing around, and I use this kind of to play around with different mediums. I am pretty proficient in a lot of different kinds of mediums, but some things I just like to play and just sit down and you know, not think about it. Just play and just paste things down and not think about it as making art. Because I'm, you know, posting images and stickers and things, and, you know, that's not reproducible in the sense of being able to make a living from it. So I just play around, journal around with different things. This was me talking about my husband and a picture from our wedding day, and then our dog Pollo. His name is Pollo, which is Spanish for chicken, not Polo. He is a Pembroke Welsh Corgi and he's gonna be 5 in December. It kind of makes me sad to think about, because the older they get, then you're like, oh, like I don't get to spend as many years with them. This was started actually at the end of 2017. And so this was me journaling about the 15 pairs of socks I had made in 2017, which was pretty like crazy of a goal for me, because if you don't knit socks, you don't know that it takes like, if you're knitting pretty fast, it can take you 2 weeks to find the time to knit a full pair of socks. And so I knit 15 pairs, or actually I think I knit 17 pairs when it came down to it, because after I took this picture I knit 2 more pairs. And then in 2018 I've kind of laid off the sock knitting, but I kind of have a few ideas for socks I want to knit in 2019, so I don't think I would knit 15 pairs again, or 17 pairs again, but you know, who knows. Me journaling about my favorite foods and houseplants, and I have a video where I created this. This is all collaging with jelly printing and drawing. Some painting, some more collage, some stamping, and some washi tape. I love these stamps that I had gotten from Michaels. This was all paint pens and markers, just doodling around, trying to draw some faces. This is my sister and brother-in-law's dog, Odie. He's so cute, so I wanted to draw him a little bit. More playing around with some markers and paint pens. Some more doodling. In the beginning I would kind of take this and just sit on the couch and doodle while I watched TV. Ooh, he's sticking together. This is some paint, so this has got some like really pretty opalescent paint on it. Little bird. Yeah, this is back in May from last year, so yeah, this one I've been working in for probably a year now then. Just some more paint. Some paint and some collage. I was feeling quite jungly and dreaming of tropical things. Some jelly print collage. Oh, there we go. This one I think I have a video for too, and this was just doing some ink and some painting. This is more collage and stickers. This is a cover that I had designed for Yellow Paper House. I just glued it in. Some more collage. This is some alcohol ink that I kind of was playing with on Yupo paper. More collage. This is some stamping for quotes and things where I painted down some acrylics and then stamped on it. This was playing around with some stenciling and some collage and some jelly print. This was just some, I think like watercolor markers or ink markers. More stamping. Oh, here we go. This was another video that I had made with the washi tape vases and the paintings in them. This was just playing around with some colors and some different tapes. These are tapes from James Luke Burke. This was a painting I did. This is the one that I started where it was just the blocks of color and I was hating it, but then I painted over it and I loved it. This was the primary election in Maryland day that I wrote down here. Another picture of my puppy. Some stamping, some Helen Dardick stamps from Waffle Flower. I love Helen Dardick's artwork and I love that she has stamps out. They're so cute. Some more stamping, mixed media. My dog Pollo, I took this black and white photo. He looks so cute that day. Oh, these are, I think, yep, that's glued together. Some more stenciling, some more collage. I have these little envelopes that pop up, and this is my dog. So cute. Some more printables from James Luke Burke. Some different stickers from like Pip Sticks, and then this is stickers from a sticker book I got at Michael's. I think this was the One Canoe 2 sticker book. I love it. Another washi tape quilt and some little journaling in little circles, another washi quilt, and some collage with some watercolored printed paper that I did. This was a lot of different paint and stenciling and splatters and a little washi quilt and then some jelly printing. I love this stencil behind here that looks like a little doily. This was more playing with like circles. I had some circle stencils and some circle stickers, and I used a toilet paper roll to make these little circles. And then I wanted to do like a little circle quote. And I remember this one from Girl Scouts was one of my favorite quotes, and it's make new friends but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. A circle's round, it has no end. That's how long I want to be your friend. And I like kind of cut it out in kind of a round area. This is more jelly printing and stenciling. And then this was part of the washi quilt video as well. This is a page I haven't worked on. This was some more collage, ephemera, and some drawings. Oh, this is more of the drawings that I worked on with people drawing practice, and then another washi quilt. I was obsessed for a while making these washi quilts. I put on some little fabric trim on this page. And then some more, this is a lot of jelly print in the back, and then I thought this lady looked really cute in her little jacket and her headscarf, and I just put her on this page because I thought it looked kind of, the style kind of reminded me of like an older vintage thing. Some more jelly printing. And then this is like the last page that I worked on, which was just working on this bingo card with these little bingo dots that I did. And then I stenciled over it with some of this crazy texture paste. It feels so rough. But anyway, that is the end so far. I have about half the pages, maybe a few more than half left in this that I'm going to work in. I love seeing how thick and crazy this gets, and I've got my little flag, my fabric paper clips in here. So I love this one. Still working in it. I haven't worked in it in a while, but this is what I've been working in recently, and it's a way less crazier than the other two. I was getting back more into watercolors and just drawing and playing around with more traditional media. This is a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook. It is 8x10, I think. And I think I got this one at Michael's. I think I used a coupon, but it actually has really nice paper in it. Like super nice. It's very thick. It's probably one of the best sketchbooks I've ever bought. And it holds a lot of media, and it's not thin at all. And I kind of wish I had bought another one of these instead of the sketchbook I'll show you after this, which is the one I'm currently working in. So this is a monogram that I got from someone on Etsy at one point, and I decided just to put it down on the bottom right hand corner with my initials. So this is the first spread. So on the inside cover, I just used some crazy watercolor paints, and then all of these are little stamps that I had carved with like a linoleum block cutter out of the Speedball Speedy Carve. So these are all stamps that I carved. And then this was just playing around with some watercolor markers and some ink. This was testing out a bunch of different watercolors. These are all shimmery ones from Hydra Color. I love Hydra Color. She doesn't post very often. I think she posts every week on Friday, and a lot of her stuff sells out really quickly, but she makes the most amazing shimmery watercolors. Actually, I have my set right here. I can show you. I put them in this pink Medine tin from Amazon, and I will post a link to this below because I love this color, and these tins are very affordable for what they are. But these are my Hydra watercolors, and look at how amazing they are. She fills them so full. They're so sparkly and they're so beautiful. Okay, let's put these away and I will show you more. So those are Hydra. This is my 30 pan custom palette that I had for the longest time. And then I bought some new Daniel Smith colors from Artistic Cat on Etsy. She does half pans and I think full pans of Daniel Smith colors. So you can buy what you want instead of buying tubes, which is so nice. This was a bunch of watercolor florals I had drawn and then just painted in with watercolor pencils and watercolors. I love just doing pages like this because I feel like I can play with a medium, I can play with different drawing, and I feel like it's just the most fun I have personally is to do these like crazy maximalist pages, and you'll see a few more of those. This is just some squares that I painted. I just used some tape and painted some squares, and I was planning on filling each one with a different pattern, and then I got lazy and I moved to the next page. These are all watercolor pencils that I was just testing out, and these are some papers that, whoop, this just popped off, that I had used to, excuse me while I put this back in, because if not, I'm gonna forget. These are stamped from pattern pieces that I had made with a linoleum cut. This is a bunch of different work with watercolor pencils and some stamping. More stamping down here. I love using my little stamps. This is more Lindy's Magical Shaker in the background. So actually, let me show you what those are. So Lindy's Magical Shakers are these little, they come in a very convenient little container. It's almost like a little spice container or something. And it's just a powder, and you sprinkle it on your page, and then you spray your page with water or use a brush or whatever, and it makes such beautiful shimmery backgrounds. They're so beautiful. And this was a black watercolor pencil that I had just drawn on top of it while it was a little bit still wet, and then I used a brush over it. This was a stamp set that I carved. These are letter stamps that I carved based on the font Didot, D-I-D-O-T, Did It? Didot? I don't know what it's called, but it's a really nice font. It's, or sorry, not a font, it's a typeface. Sorry to all the graphic designers out there. But I carved it based on that, and I really love it for journaling. I did numbers, and I did my lowercase letters. Oh, I was just doing a page on home. We had just moved to Wilmington, Delaware. That's actually when I started this sketchbook, is when we first got to Delaware and all my art supplies were packed, and so I ran to Michael's and I bought this sketchbook, and I think I bought like the pen and the Tombow brush pens for the background for this to start just making art again because I missed it. So we moved to Wilmington, and a little backstory on me is I grew up in Abingdon, Maryland, Bel Air, Maryland area. Then I went to college in Baltimore, Maryland, and then I had my first job out of college in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I worked for Target Corporate, designed a bunch of holiday products for them. Then we moved to the suburbs of Minnesota 2 years after starting work there, spent 2 years in Minnetonka. Then I got laid off from Target during a mass layoff of 1,700 people because the company was not doing well at the time. So we moved back to Bel Air, Maryland, and now for my husband's job, we moved to Wilmington, Delaware. So we've lived in 3 different states. So it's been kind of crazy, but, and we've lived in, I think, 7 different places, 7 different like actual physical homes, or 6 different, I don't know, in about 8 years. So it's been a little crazy. Some just play. This is some stamp play and some spray color ink, and some stamping with gray ink with my homemade stamps that I had made. This was more play with watercolor pencils, a little bit of ephemera, but mostly watercolors and watercolor pencils. This was fun. This was just a page I had played around with a bunch of different colors with painting, and it was looking really ugly. So I was like, you know, I really want to practice drawing some dogs. So I pulled up the Instagram, The Doggist. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's the best dog Instagram in the whole wide Instagram world. And I drew some of the different dogs with a brush pen. Or no, actually it wasn't a brush pen. I think I just used my regular India ink and a brush. And then I used some Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. So I drew some of the different doggies. They're all so cute. I think Bert, it might be my favorite. No, Tux maybe is my favorite. Oh, who am I kidding? There's a corgi, so whatever, you know, whatever. This Japanese Spitz is so cute though. So yeah, and there's some sparkly watercolors on this page too. this was some stenciling in the back and some stamping with my homemade stamps. And then I was making these different colorways out of different watercolors, and this is the waffle flower swatch stamps. So I just glued that in there because I thought it was interesting. And then this was more of the waffle flower swatch stamps and the color wheel stamps. And this was when I was tinting the colors with, or doing glazes of neutral tint and Payne's blue on top of them just to see how they looked. I don't normally mix black with my watercolors, but I just wanted to see how they looked. And then this is just different value scales. This was some ink practicing I was doing for Inktober, which I totally failed on, you know, whatever, you know. It's okay. It doesn't bother me. I'm not gonna let it bother me that I failed at Inktober because I did it last year and then I failed the year before, so who cares? A little self-portrait that I made, some more watercolor and ink. Oh, these are stuck together. This was more stamping and some stenciling, and I was playing around with different light pastel-y colors and then seeing this dripping. The dripping is why it sticks together, is because this is golden fluid acrylic, but it's like the really liquidy kind of fluid acrylic, like the kind you could put in an airbrush, and for some reason it just dries really sticky. I don't know, I don't like it. Then I was drawing some bows because I had this idea that I wanted to do a bow print, which I never finished. Some more Inktober-y kind of practice. This was a different, some kind of leaves and more of a mixed kind of triangular patterny, whatever. This was more inks, some colored inks, some black inks, some just playing around. These were a set of, this was a Daniel Smith swatch card thing that I got for free in a pack of paper, and it was this guy, whoever, Giovanni Balzerani. This is his palette, so I painted it out on here. For me, it leaves a lot to be desired, but you know. And then I was testing some different paint markers from Amazon. This was brush and ink that I just did one day, and this actually became a cover for a new Yellow Paper House Spiral notebook that we're putting out new covers this week, and that's what this is from. This is just some more play around with watercolors, some watercolor layering and glazing that I worked on. This is actually a limited palette that I have, and it's funny because I can't change out the colors because I can't figure out how to take the little tray out of the little tiny palette. I wish I had it right here to show you, but I don't. And then this is a tiny little palette that I made with, oh, I think it's in here. Yeah, this was a tiny little split complementary palette that I made to take places if I want to, but it doesn't really have a mixing area that's that good. Okay, let's see the next. Oh, this was when I was just playing with my different favorite dark blues and playing with some salts. And then these are all from, I went online and I took a Skillshare class from Ana Victoria Calderon, and she is amazing. She is so amazing. I love her. But I took her Skillshare class because I'd wanted to kind of play around, see what was on Skillshare, and it's just fun to like learn new things and learn people's new techniques. So I took her Skillshare class, and it was all about like creating textures with watercolor. So I did these and this, and it was just fun, and it was relaxing, and it was kind of just like mind numbing. This period of time has been the last few weeks where there's just been a lot of heavy things in the news, and it's been just really awful. So I kind of just like to zone out and give my mind a break from all that. This down here is my Schminke and M. Graham gouache palette, which I haven't used in ages. I haven't used this since I lived in Minnesota. I actually bought these paints while I was in Minnesota, but I want to get back into some gouache. So that's this. This was just another play around again. So this was some stamping on top of watercolor, and then this is just a bunch of different watercolor stuff. So this was before I got my Holbein palette with my Robax palette. This was mostly Daniel Smith watercolors. And then this was more watercolor play. I was playing around with some alcohol on here, which I thought was interesting. And I was trying to kind of make a galaxy. This was also one of Anna Victoria Calderon's classes too, where she kind of made this galaxy and showed you how to do it. And then I added salt and things. It was just playing around with different blues and pinks. I love blues and pinks. I think they're so cute. More playing around with pinks, more playing around with different texturing with the salt. Stapled this in here. I love stapling things in my journal now, and the reason I love it is because I bought this. This is a Tim Holtz Ideology like mini stapler, and what I did was instead of using the silver staples that come with this thing, I bought the American Crafts colors staples that go with this. So I love the blue and pink staples now. I'm so excited. Anyway, but I kind of I painted like a little scene and some little clovers. They're not shamrocks. Shamrocks have three petals. And some other little things working with layering and glazing. Then I was playing around these. I played around with a bunch of J. Urban, I guess Urban, I don't know, it's a French company, inks, and these are the ones that I have. I have them in the little bottles. I love these tiny little bottles. They're so cute. They're adorable, and they're easy to take places, and they're easy not to spill over either. Or, okay, really, in the end, it's if you spill them over, it's not that much ink that you're wasting, which is my main problem. I painted this kind of like OG shape with flowers, and I made this into a pattern. I was just drawing different flowers, watercolor with the inks, things like that. I made this into a pattern as well. Oh, this was when I got my Holbein watercolors. So if you had seen my last video I did of filling my new Robax palette with my Holbein watercolors, these aren't all of the watercolors, but I was just playing with them. I made a grid with 1/4" tape, and I just put them down in a little rainbow fashion. This was more playing around with my new Holbein watercolors, just making swatches, mixing some colors, seeing how they play together and how they play on this paper too, because they do play on this paper a lot different than the Daniel Smith ones do, which I was kind of surprised because in my life I've used 2 brands of watercolor paint. I've used Daniel Smith for the majority, probably for the past 10 years, and then when I was in college I had this tiny little watercolor Winsor Newton Cotman set that came like a little travel set, and that's what I used my entire time through college, which I'm really surprised. Sometimes I think back to college and I'm like, wow, how did I make such good art with like such few supplies? But that's just the, you know, the necessity of it, you know, mother of invention is necessity. Isn't that what they say? Oh gosh, I probably got that really wrong. But if I didn't, that's so true. But I remember when I was in college, I used to make all this digital art on a 13-inch MacBook screen, you know, things like that, where these days I'd be like, man, that's way too small to do. But, you know, when you're in college, you just do with what you have. You know, I also worked on this Wacom tablet that was from when I was 12 years old. And I remember when I got a new tablet after I had graduated. Actually, yeah, after I graduated and was starting to make some money, I bought a new Wacom tablet, and I remember the first time I drew on it thinking, wow, I was drawing with a twig before, because, you know, it just felt so much better and so much better pressure sensitivity. It was just insane. So sorry on that tangent, but I painted some mountains and did some white. I think this is the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White on top with some flowers. And then the other day I had painted these flowers. I think one of my new favorite, and this is so typical of me, that of course my new favorite watercolor, my new favorite Holbein watercolor is probably one of the most fugitive watercolors. But you know what? I scan most of my work, I take pictures of most of my work, and it's in journals. So I don't think it's gonna fade as much, but my new favorite one is called Bright Rose, which is, I think, a little bit more purpley than Opera. This is the Opera. It's hard to tell here, but this is the Opera, this is the Bright Rose. They're both beautiful colors. I also like the Bright Violet, but I'm just not a purple person, just in general, or at least I tell myself I'm not a purple person, who knows. But yeah, so that's kind of the end. Oh, one more. I was just playing around with a brush pen here. But I have a few more pages in this. I'll probably end up filling them up, but when I get to this point in a sketchbook, I start to get a little antsy, and I start to plan what my next sketchbook's going to be, and then I start using that sketchbook, and then I don't ever finish these ones, so this might end up being the end of this one. But I love this kind of sketchbook. I recommend it totally. I will leave a link to it down in the description box. I also have a link to my Amazon storefront, which has a bunch of other supplies listed in it as recommended by me. It's all stuff in there that I've personally used and that I personally recommend. And if you buy from the Amazon storefront, it doesn't cost you anything extra, and it doesn't cost me anything extra, but yet I get a little bit of a kickback, like, you know, pennies on your dollar, but it helps support my channel. So I would love if you would shop from there. That'd be very nice. It would make my day, really. So let's talk about, oh, sorry for my weird window light now. Hold on. Nope. Oh, crap. Hold on. Hold on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so my new sketchbook that I'm working in is a Stillman and Birn beta series. So I've had a couple Stillman and Birn sketchbooks in my life, and I've always liked them. I've always had like the Zeta series, I think, which it is called, which is a very, very heavy, very smooth paper. And so when I was looking at the different series, the Alpha series I think has a lighter weight, toothier paper. Beta series is a heavier weight, toothy paper. And then they have a bunch of other ones that I don't know. But they have like ivory colored ones, and they have white ones like this. And so I was like, let's try this one out. So this is the 8 by 10 inch soft cover one with the heavier weight, a little bit toothier paper. And I have another little vinyl decal that I got from Etsy with my initials. But this monogram has your middle initial, or your last name initial bigger. So that goes in the middle. So it's kind of confusing because on this notebook, the J's at the end. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so I started this one the other day, and what did I put in it? So I wanted to draw a kilim pattern. It's like a Turkish rug pattern. That's what we'll call it. How about that? So I did that, and I'm probably going to scan this. This is watercolor in here. I'm going to scan this and make this into a pattern because I love this. This was so much fun to do. It took me, it was like on a Saturday, I think, but it took me all day. But it was so much fun. My husband was away with friends, and so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to indulge in a very tedious, long thing where I can just sit and watch the new season of Making a Murderer, and which was so boring. Oh my gosh, it's boring until the episode 9. So just skip to episode 9 if you want to know the spoilers. There we go, I said it. Then I was playing around with some different blues and some different little paintings in here on the inside cover. I kind of hate painting on the front because, you know, when you're but whatever. And then I've kind of been working on some other little paintings, some more mountains. I'm kind of obsessed with making these watercolor mountains. But yeah, that's all I have in here. The only thing that I dislike about this is I feel like it doesn't take layers of watercolor very well. It doesn't take watercolor very well, which was very surprising to me because this is the one that they like advertise for like wet media, wet mixed media, and which I would assume by looking at the paper stats would be good for watercolor, but really I kind of hate it. It's fine for like flat kind of wash type things like this, but as soon as you start adding more layers, like if you were going to do a real painting in here, the paper starts to pill up and the paper has weird splotches and things. I much prefer this sketchbook for watercolor media. I prefer how the paper looks, I prefer how the paper blends, I prefer layering with watercolors on this paper, glazing with watercolors, shoot, even picking up with watercolors. I tried to pick up some paint in here and oh my gosh, it left it so nubby and gross, and So I think I'm gonna have a problem with this one, and I might end up just buying another one of these at some point, but for now, we will see. I hate buying sketchbooks and then not using them, because all my life I've collected so many sketchbooks that I've filled or half filled or sort of filled, or people have given me sketchbooks, and I'm really trying to be a lot more minimalist with the sketchbooks that I buy and the things that I use, and I try and use them, you know, for at least get a good, you know, get my money's worth out of them, obviously. And sometimes you can't, sometimes you just like hate what you bought, but it's a lesson, you know, don't buy it again, I guess. Which is surprising because I've loved all the other Stoneman & Burton sketchbooks that I bought in my life. So I was just super surprised about the Beta series. I guess I should have bought the Zeta series one, which makes me sad, but whatever. This one, so much better. I will leave a link to this one down in the description box. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I know this has been a long video. Yeah, thanks for dealing with, you know, me sometimes posting, sometimes not posting, sometimes posting things that are probably irrelevant to you, but I am very happy that you all joined me on this YouTube journey. I'm trying to do more videos. I think about it a lot. I have a whole list of things I want to do, but sometimes you just sit down to paint and you don't want to turn the camera on. Sometimes I make so much art in my life, and sometimes I just either forget to turn the camera on, and when you're recording, when you make art, it's hard because you can't really get into the creating as much as you would like, because every 30 minutes I have to turn on the camera. It only records for a 30-minute length of time, and you have to make sure your head isn't in the frame. You have to make sure that your work is in the frame, that you have to make sure your work is in focus. You have to make sure it's lit well, that you're not getting weird window shadows. So yeah, I mean, it is a lot harder to record your artwork than you would think, or maybe I'm just making an excuse, but whatever. I'm hoping to make more videos, especially more art making videos. Maybe some more how-to videos, and if you have any suggestions for anything you want to see from me, let me know in the comments down below. I really enjoyed making my last video. There was no talking, it was just me with my Robax palette, filling it. The other problem I have is my equipment for doing voiceovers. That has been a problem lately. I got a new microphone because I thought my old microphone was broken because there was so much noise, like staticky noise in the background, and the new microphone does the same exact thing. And my husband and I kind of came to the conclusion that it's actually my really old MacBook, that there must be something wrong with how it records the sound. So until I get a new computer, voiceovers are either going to be really staticky noisy, you know, like, you know, in the background, or I'm gonna have to film a voiceover, like not a voiceover on my camera, just talking to you like this, or just have music. I like the music too. I don't know if y'all like my music selections, but let me know down below what you want to see, and I would appreciate a thumbs up. I would also appreciate if you clicked on my Amazon links, that would be awesome, or go to my Instagram and leave me a like or a comment. That always helps me, especially because the Instagram algorithm sucks lately and nobody sees my work. So I will talk to you guys in the next video, and thanks for sitting through this one. Have a great day.